This is NTV.
A very good evening and welcome to this special programming on NTV tonight. And we will tonight be interviewing the Speaker of the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga. She's also a Member of Parliament representing Kamuli District in the 10th Parliament of Uganda. Honourable Speaker, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
This special programming is because Uganda will be hosting a major conference, the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, coming back to Uganda after 52 years. The last time we hosted the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference was 52 years ago. Now, members of Parliament from the Commonwealth, speakers, members of Parliament will be converging in Kampala at the invitation and being hosted by the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda under the leadership of the Honourable Rebecca Kadaga. What does this mean for Uganda and for you as Speaker?
Well, first for the country, you know, there are many people in the world who think Africa is one country. And for the first time, many of them will actually be traveling to one of the countries in Africa, knowing the country called Uganda, knowing that it's different from Kenya, it's different from Liberia. Sometimes even when they say is Uganda next to Nigeria, you know, people don't know. So first, information about Uganda, knowledge, but it's an opportunity to market the country for all kinds of opportunities, for tourism, for investment, for education. So those 10 days that the delegates will spend here will give them quite an idea about this country. We expect to compare notes on parliamentary work, compare notes on work in our constituencies. So it's very big, for me as a person and as Parliament, it's very exciting because the last CPC was here in 1967. The 13th CPC was hosted here in 1967. Since then, for many reasons, first we were expelled from the Commonwealth when we had a military government here. So we had to reapply to go back. We accepted. Then we started building the confidence of our colleagues to be able to host the meeting. It has taken time, but finally they agreed
to build up to this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. My name is Charles Mwangushampagi, and we will be discussing this. It's part of a series of discussions we'll be having on NTV and on other platforms as Uganda prepares to host the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference in Kampala. This will be running from the 22nd of September?
Yes, up to the 29th of September.
Up to the 29th of September. Now, Madam Speaker, just take us through. When people watching us now, and I'll invite them to share with us what they think and ask you questions later on in the program. But the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, this is a conference that's bringing together members of the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Which means that you're bringing together people who, countries that were former colonies of the United Kingdom. Would that be correct?
Yes, but there are two others. You know, we have changed. It's no longer just the Commonwealth, former Commonwealth colonies, because we have Mozambique, which was the Portuguese-speaking country. They're also part of us. We have Rwanda, which was a French-speaking country and not under the British, but they're also part of us. So the Commonwealth has slightly changed in that we have brought in other countries that originally not part of the Commonwealth.
For us as Uganda, what are we presenting to the world?
Oh, so much. First of all, we are going to showcase the country. We have a whole day for touring throughout the country. There will be a tour of Kampala, the attractions around the city. There will be a tour of the equator. There will be a tour of the source of the Nile, and also a drive to Kaguru Hill. So we are taking them to the non-traditional
tourist areas.
Yes. So you know, it's not many people have ever seen the equator. You know, just standing at the equator is a big thing for them. So they also learn about that. So, but apart from that, we expect a lot of economic benefits because one, they are going to pay. In the past, the Commonwealth meetings were sponsored by the host country, but now we decided that it's better if we just do the basics: transport, food, and the accommodation, and their tickets paid for by the home parliaments. So in those 10 days, each of those hotels will get money daily, and it's guaranteed for 10 days. What we've done in addition is to facilitate the public or those who are able to create markets to showcase at 2 places. We shall have an exhibition here at Serena and another one at Munyonyo, which will be the main venue. So the ordinary people will be able to benefit from there. I'm also asking our people at the equator to improve a bit on the things they are doing, and so that they pick up some money. I'm also telling our people at the source of the Nile to do the same thing.
At Kagulu.
And Kagulu also to make our ports and other things, so that they're able to tap some money. So Kampala will get some money, but parts of the country also get some money. And then, of course, the discussions, we're going to have good discussions to compare notes and so on. So it's, for me, it's mainly really to market this small country called Uganda.
Let's go back to the basics. How many people are you looking at that converge in the country? Who are these people?
Yeah, between 600 to 1,000. These are the speakers of parliaments, and some countries have 2 because there's a Senate and a National Assembly. Then there are also countries that have got a federal assembly and also provincial assemblies. Countries like Nigeria has got 36 other states. So people come from the federal and also the national. South Africa has the federal and also the provinces. So as India, so as Pakistan. So all the members of parliament who are accredited will be able to come and be in this country. Then they come with staff. They will come with their staff, so the staff will also be here. The clerks also meet, they have their meeting and do their stuff. They also, a number will come with their families. So while the members are busy in the meetings, the wives and the children or the partners will be in our attractions, maybe in the shops spending money. So it's going to be really hectic.
Do you think, Madam Speaker, we've hosted many conferences. Just behind us here you have, this is the Commonwealth Summit that was held here.
2007.
2007. Have we mastered a way to actually benefit, to reap benefit for the ordinary person out of these conferences? Or the conferences remain confined to the institutional beneficiaries, the major hotels, the major players, that the ordinary people actually, do they actually benefit from this? How would the CPC be different? That's
why I talked about facilitating the ordinary people. The people who will be at the exhibition are not members of parliament. They are business people, and they are the crafts people, the people who are making mats, the people who are making backcloths, shirts and so on. Those are the people who are going to be in the exhibition to be able to sell their products in both Serena and at Munyonyo. So to that extent, the ordinary people will be involved. But I want to look at this hosting of meetings as important. For instance, how did we get the Apollo Hotel? It was built actually for the 13th CPC. That's why they built that hotel.
1967.
Yes.
Apollo Hotel is the Sheraton.
Yes, that's now Sheraton. Now, Sheraton, people who go there for weddings, who go there for graduations, everybody is using Sheraton. Serena here. This was the Nile Conference Center.
Yes.
It was built for the OAU in 1975. So it is still here. Parliament sits here for State of the Nation. We also sit here for the budget. So the facilities are there so that people can use them. So it's an investment in infrastructure. We have not invested in infrastructure or using the existing ones because the main venue will be at Munyonyo, and we have 20 other hotels.
Which was also partly built because of...
yes, because of this Chogam. Yes. So the infrastructure remains so that people can use it. And now the tourism. For instance, when in 2012, we hosted the Interparliamentary Union here for the first time as part of our Golden Jubilee. Believe me, there are people who come every year now. Out of that, they come every year to spend time in Uganda. Because when they came to Uganda, they loved the country, they keep coming back. So it's a big opportunity. But those 10 days, by the time they end.
What lessons do we learn? What lessons have you learned as Parliament? You hosted the international parliament, the IPU, yes, which you actually have been heading.
Yes,
which you head.
Yes.
We've hosted Chogam before.
Yeah.
What lessons do we learn as a country? And have we put those lessons to actual use?
For me, like Parliament, we have built capacity. Because before the IPU, there had not been a major parliamentary conference in this country. So we have built capacity within the parliamentary staff, we've built capacity within the community, This one is mainly going to be English speaking, but when we had the IPU, we had even to bring in interpreters, Uganda interpreters who could speak French, who could speak Portuguese, who could speak Chinese, so that our guests are able to understand what's happening, simple things and so on. So for me, it's building capacity of staff, of Parliament. And
what did it take for you as Parliament to win the hosting of the 64th?
Really, first of all, we are very active in the meetings. We have attended a number of meetings, and when we present our issues, they make sense to our friends. And we kept on marketing and saying it is possible you can come to Uganda. By the way, many people still associate Uganda with Idi Amin. So we needed to change that image by telling them that we're a different country. We're a different country. Idi Amin is not there. We have another government. So please come. There are things which you can see. And then, when we organized the IPU, when we were marketing, someone asked me, are there giraffes in Kampala? And he was so innocent. I said, yes, the giraffes are in Uganda, but not at the airport. Because if I reach there, can I say giraffe? I said, no, you'll see them in the national park. And I'll make sure that you go to the national park and see the giraffes. So people are that uninformed about Uganda and about Africa. Yes.
But some of the questions that people will be asking and our viewers will be asking as we progress with this discussion on the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference that's coming here is, yes, we might have these conferences. One of the discussions from the briefing I have seen is you'll have a discussion about parliamentary business, democracy, the building of democracy, and how you build it. Are we making, is this representation in Parliament, this parliamentary system, after colonialism and gaining independence, is it actually delivering democracy dividends in real terms?
I think that's part of what we are going to discuss. We shall have presentations from those who think that it has worked. We shall also have the presentation of those who think it has not worked. Then we shall propose solutions to see how it works. So we are practicing democracy under the Westminster system, but there are many variations. There are many variations in the way we work. So when we meet, we'll chart out ways of maybe not swallowing other people, but having a middle ground where each of us is satisfied that the basics have been met.
And what about the concerns? How do you deal with concerns that the form of democracy and parliaments are expensive for the countries that have them? Yes, democracy is expensive. You can argue that. Say that democracy is expensive, yes, but parliament is very expensive. I don't know how you address some of these things. Do you have candid discussions within these conferences that try to tackle the real issues that affect?
Yes, we do really have candid discussions. And if you will be monitoring when the debates are taking place, you'll hear really what people have to say. Yes, we have very candid discussions.
And is there a major divide between, for example, parliaments in Africa, parliaments in Asia, parliaments in other parts of the world that are members of the Commonwealth?
Definitely there is. For instance, sometimes we are discussing a topic and you find that what we call the ABC, the Australia, Britain, Canada, are in a different league. They are very advanced in their technology. They are doing the level of different things. Then in between you find the countries like Singapore, which are also doing something on their own. Then you find also the other countries, the Caribbean and the Mediterranean, where things are slow. So we accommodate each other, the big, the rich, the poor, the small, we are all in the Commonwealth. So each of us brings our perspective, and within those discussions, we find some common ground. But definitely there are differences, even in approach, even presentations, there are differences.
Some people have argued and said there is no Commonwealth in the Commonwealth.
Yes, I think ideally they had expected that certain things would really be shared equally, but that's not the case. For instance, why do we still need visas to visit each other? That should have been a given. You remember the Commonwealth period, but that's not the case. So there are areas where the Commonwealth is not as homogeneous as one would want.
Okay, we'll take a quick commercial break. This is special programming. We are interviewing the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga, specifically to deal with the hosting of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, which will be happening in Kampala for 10 days between September 22nd
29th.
To 29th. We have, I think, about 1,000 people from your projections that
Yes.
might be converging on this town.
Yes. Quite a number. Already we have several confirmations. There are still a number of branches to come in to confirm their numbers and send their nominees. By the way, some countries which recently had elections are, I think, having problems settling down and deciding who is to come and so on. But we hope that by the end of this month, they will all have sent their nominees.
Let's take a commercial break. We'll pick this up after the break.
Chocolate-flavored vodka. Celebrate the taste. Alcohol is not for sale to persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
When it comes to power and electrical appliances, we recommend Shule cables. Shule cables are of the best quality, long-lasting, reliable, and certified by Uganda National Bureau of Standards. They come in different types at very good prices. Single-core cables, twin cables, flexible cables, and armored cables. With Shule cables, you're assured of safety. They're made with the best machinery and technology. Find them in all electrical distribution outlets countrywide. Shule cables, you're assured of safety.
Advertise with Paida FM, the giant of the north, now streaming live on www.paidafm.com. Paida FM covers the entire West Nile sub-region, Acholi sub-region, Lango sub-region, and Bunyoro sub-region. To advertise, call 0750-878-872. Email info@paidafm.com. 87.8 Paida FM, our own voice, setting the pace.
On the next episode is brought to you by Roofing's Strength of a Nation.
Wherever you are, I want you to know that I'm thankful that you're our mother. You never made me feel that a part of me is missing because I grew up without a father.
I don't know what happened inside the house. Dado locked us up. We were held captives for a long time. I had no choice but to play along to save my son.
Roofing's Strength of a Nation.
You're still watching special programming on NTV, and tonight we're hosting on a special show the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga. She will be the chief host of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference running from the 22nd of September through the 29th of September, which will gather members of Parliament and other officials related to parliamentary business from the entire Commonwealth, which has since expanded by 2, you said, with Rwanda and Madagascar.
No,
joining,
Mozambique.
Mozambique joining the Commonwealth, joining the Commonwealth actually, as it is. We just took the break on a question of how common is the Commonwealth? The distribution of resources, and you pointed out some 2 countries which you say are quite advanced, which have a unique relationship with the former colonial master, Canada and Australia. They remain with a relationship where the Queen is still titular head.
Yes, yes.
The countries that did a complete break with gaining independence haven't fared as much. Are there lessons from there? Do you think that gaining full independence might somehow have been a mistake by the example of Canada and Australia?
No, I think that it was the right decision, because even within the Commonwealth now, there are still countries that are where the Queen is the head of state, smaller countries, which cannot move unless issues are addressed first in London and then brought back to them. So I think the independence was important, but they still we are linked together by history. So we still work together, plan together, discuss together. It was advantageous, but there are those which are still controlled up to today. And I find it a bit of a problem because they are not as free to act on their own as, because they report elsewhere, not just within their country. So independence is good. It was good.
There are people who believed that we should have had a radical shift from the end of colonialism, that we should have actually moved, and the establishment of independence should have actually been independence. Some people view the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth Heads of State meeting that normally happens every 2 years, CHOGM. They see that as the United Kingdom or Britain continuing to expand its hegemony over these former colonies. I don't know if that is true in actual practice.
Okay, maybe to the extent that there may be practices that they have which they would think that we should also follow. But in many states we have stood our ground and said this is our position, and we are together, but we are not the same. But also,
I've seen you make a very strong case in those international forums, especially on moral questions about homosexuality and others.
Yes.
Yes.
We have told them that they are free to do what they want, but they should not make it universal, because it's not an internationally recognized practice. So they can keep their habits, but they don't have to force us to have them. So yes, those things appear once in a while, and you have to be alert and focused in order to keep your stand and keep your identity.
What's the mutual benefit from this relationship?
Well, you learn from, for instance, we are talking about issues of governance, issues of accountability. We still send the House of Westminster still sends us people if we need them to induct new members, to speak to them about their experiences, they take some staff for training. So we still have that relationship of working together. So in some instances it's beneficial.
Looking at the broader question of democracy, looking at the broader question of self-determination, across the world, there's been a lot of turbulence. You said Uganda was suspended from the Commonwealth during the turbulent period of 1972 to 1979, yes, about there. 71. Yeah, 71 to 79, that suspension. But you find a lot of turbulence that continues to rule in a lot of the world. And the experiment about democracy, has it worked?
It has worked to some extent, but there are different forms of democracy. Because even within the Commonwealth, for instance, here in East Africa, all republics, but we have members who are kingdoms, and their management of society is different. So there are some similarities, but there are also a number of differences. But we are all together because we are part of the same family. So in the family have some tall members and short members and so on. So
the fat ones and
the fat ones and the thin ones. So we still work together, but with different structures, and we don't judge which is the best democracy. We just present our issues as we see them, compare notes from other colleagues, and then find a way forward.
You're theming this 64th CPC on adaptation, evolution, and engagement and evolution. Can you explain this?
Well, the Commonwealth has been evolving, as I told you. For instance, I did tell you about the 2 countries that came in after, which were not part of us. So you have to, when you are working, you have to take into account their system of administration. Because I've accepted them, you take them as they are, but also accommodate them, but also be able to showcase your side without drowning out the others. So it's a situation of give and take.
So some members will adapt, others will, and then there's the engagement, and then the evolution.
Yes, you pick out a few things which you think are good. For instance, on issues of accountability, we all have the same practice that accountability committees are managed by the members of the opposition. That's throughout the Commonwealth. That's given across the board. Only that in some countries which are part of the Commonwealth, actually the ministers are the chairs of the public accounts committees, but they are also our members. So we don't say, you are doing badly. No, we understand their system, it works for them, but we also have our own practice, which is more universal. So we try not to overrun others, but to adapt to each other and coexist.
Do you think, on the overall assessment, that Parliament, as one of the arms of governance, is actually playing its role, asserting itself, and maintaining the checks and balance that it needs on the other arms of government through the Commonwealth experience?
To a large extent, yes, because we are carrying out our oversight responsibilities. Those are majorly similar, except where, as I told you, that in some instances, some systems work in such a way that the ministers are now in charge of the committees. We also have some other countries where if you're a member of the opposition, you don't get the Constituency Development Fund, but they're also part of us, and you can't say you're performing badly because you have not paid the other members. That's their system, it works for them. So we coexist and accommodate one another. And, but by and large, I think parliaments are doing their bit, holding the executive to account. I think they're doing their bit.
What explains the fact that some ills like corruption still persist? In spite of having this oversight role and you're questioning people, for example, your public accounts committees or local government accounts committee and others, COSASE and the others, are putting members, officials to task and asking the hard questions. Where does it go after that? Why, when do you ask and say, we've done this bit, we have written a report. It's not just gathering dust. You have the minister sitting in parliament. Now you have, you introduced in the Ugandan parliament, the prime minister question time, that the answers are coming and those answers are just not answers, but action is being taken.
Now, I think that even there progress has been made. For many years, there was no treasury memoranda, because when the parliament completes the report, we send it to the government. We say, on this we have recommended that you discipline so and so, we recommended prosecution, we have recommended this. So the government now is supposed to come back to us within 6 months to say, yes, we agree, we also discipline, we agree with the recommendation of discipline so and so. We agree with this one, we have prosecuted him, he's in court. We do not agree with this for this reason, so that we see what has been acted upon and what has not. So progressively, the treasury memorandums are now coming in, not as fast as I would want, but at least now they do. For many years, they were no, they would just keep quiet. So I think that the pressure from Parliament has pushed them to respond.
I could also ask something that's a bit selfish to us as media practitioners. You, under the Access to Information Act, Cabinet is supposed to report back to you. Different departments of different ministries are supposed to report back to Parliament on requests for information and how they have reacted to them. Is that making progress?
I don't remember anyone asking for information from a cabinet minister, and because if they ask, maybe they will have to copy it to me so that I know that so and so.
No, I'm saying because under the Access to Information Act, which was passed in 2007, I think,
yes.
2007,
Yes.
there was 2000 or 2005. There was a requirement that different departments of government, once they receive requests, are supposed to come back and report. And I think Kabakumba Masiko was Minister for Information and National Guidance when she issued the guidelines to operationalize, to functionalize the law. Whether there has been compliance or not, relating to this accountability memorandum they just discussed with us, whether they are responding and to see that the executive is listening to you as Parliament and actually doing the things, not just looking at recommendation and saying, once you give me a recommendation, I can do with it whatever I want. It's just a recommendation anyway. You can't hold me to account for it. Are you able to do that? Are you able to get on a broader range of issues?
If we made the request, I think they would be handled. But I need to check whether requests have been made and whether they have been handled. For now, I was focusing on the Treasury Memorandum because those are the official reports of Parliament by resolution.
So when the report comes back to you and the executive indicates these are the actions we have taken, do you close off the issue or you keep it and you're supposed to ask more questions until?
We can ask, if we're not satisfied, we can ask more questions so that other action is taken.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go back to the CPC. For you as the host speaker, how many other speakers confirmed so far? Would you have a number? And in terms of your guests, because these are essentially your guests.
Yes. I'm not up because I was out of town until this afternoon, so I don't have the
and I appreciate actually that you were able to make the show tonight.
I don't have all the figures, but I know that a number of heads of institutions are coming, speakers and deputy speakers and presidents of the Senate. When I get the figures, I'll let you know.
So you have presidents of senates where they have the Senate system.
For instance, in Kenya, there's
speakers,
the Senate and the upper house and the lower house. Rwanda, they have the upper house and the lower house. Tanzania and Uganda are unicameral, so we only have we don't have an upper house. Then in some, for instance, the states of Pakistan, they have the federal house, and then the legislatures of the 4 provinces. So all those are coming. And South Africa, they have they have the National Assembly, the National Council of Provinces, and the speakers of the 9 provinces of South Africa. Then Nigeria has got the Federal Assembly and 36 assemblies of the union. So all that would be Nigeria 5 plus 222 of the others. So it's quite. Australia
India,
also
the
has
Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha, all of them sending in somebody.
Yes, the Lok Sabha has already sent in their nominees. We are also waiting for a number of the states. Australia also has some provinces. Canada has the federal and also the states. So there are quite a number.
And who represents the former colonial master?
Oh, the House of Commons, the House of Commons of the United Kingdom. Yes, the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, one of them comes together with the delegation. Okay.
And so they are here. You said the main host of the main event is being hosted at Munyonyo.
Yes.
And then there are outer events?
Yes, we have other events. For instance, we are going to have the meeting of the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians. Incidentally, the election is going to take place here because the term of the president, our chair, is terminating here in Kampala. So the Commonwealth Women Parliamentarians will have a meeting of the youth. We shall then have other workshops on different subjects, on governance, on accountability, on the SDGs. So many subjects are going to happen here. So we are, in order also to spread the resources, we have identified other hotels where we shall have the dinners and other activities. Not everything will be in Munyonyo and Serena. So other hotels are also going to benefit by hosting this lunch, hosting that dinner, and so on.
I see you have also made an arrangement for spouses of...
Yes. The spouses, we are going to keep them busy so that they spend money as their partners are working. These was spending money and also learning about the country, because it would be useful in convincing their spouses to come back for a holiday with the children and so on. So it's important that they come and that they are happy and they learn a lot about Uganda.
When you brought the IPU to Kampala, to Uganda, you insisted that it's held outside of Kampala. You wanted people to see Uganda beyond
Yes,
Kampala.
yes.
Why aren't you applying the same to the CPC?
No. We are actually what we've done. We have in my letter of invitation, I've said you can come in either 2 days early, so that you first go around the country before the main conference, or you add another 2 or 3 days, so that after the main conference, you now go to.
No, for IPU deliberately you wanted to take the entire discussion outside of Kampala, which I thought was a novel idea.
Yes.
Which I thought was something unique that this country needs, because people come and get stuck in Kampala. They complain about the litter or in the streets of Kampala. They complain about the borders and the traffic jams. When the rest of the country might actually provide a much more engaging experience than.
Usually it's the facilities. You're going to have the Hansard team able to go there and do their work from there. Do you have enough seats for everybody? Do you have enough microphones? Do you have a big enough hall in the other towns? So this is some of the considerations that make us sit in Kampala. But I think that with time, facilities are going to grow.
You know, you referenced the 13th CPC and said one of the unique things that came with it was, for example, the construction of the Apollo Hotel, which is the Sheraton Kampala Hotel.
Yes.
The 1975 African Union Summit birthed this hotel where we are, this conference center, and the Nile Hotel as it was called then. So wouldn't this also present an opportunity to put up a major facility outside of Kampala? Maybe in Jinja, maybe in Mbarara, maybe in Fort Portal, somewhere else?
I think it's a good thought, especially since now the roads are motorable majorly. If we could improve on a few other things, yes, it's important to get another facility where people will still be able to have the same services, but outside the city. It would be a good idea.
We'll need to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion on the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference coming to Uganda. From the 22nd of September through to the 29th of September, Uganda will be playing host. It is, and Uganda will be playing host 52 years after the last CPC we hosted in this country. We'll be right back.
Now that the performance of boys is going down and the girls are coming up, who is to blame?
It would be okay to fail the UNEBs of this country, as long as you don't fail in life.
On the other hand, you also find that the boy child quickly has got to start to earn a living because his dad is drinking himself stupid. Even at 13, a child who has been in boarding school, people out there will say to you, oh, they're more resourceful, but they also have more rotten manners.
Does money make a man, or does man make his money?
I just don't want to be able to hear it as a leader that money makes a man.
How? People keep finding themselves in difficult situations about money because they end up spending more than they earn.
Have you ever heard of the phrase that women are their own worst enemy?
We have people who say that women in uniform are not marriage material, but it hasn't stopped us from being women.
Most of the men would prefer that the women remain in the current status or even worse.
On the next episode is brought to you by Roofing's Strength of a Nation.
Wherever you are, I want you to know that I'm thankful that you're our mother. You never made me feel that a part of me is missing because I grew up without a father.
I don't know what happened inside the house. Dado locked us up. We were held captives for a long time. I had no choice but to play along to save my son.
Roofing's Strength of a Nation.
Welcome back. You're still watching a special programming on NTV where we're hosting the Speaker of Parliament, the Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, and we're discussing the Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference, which Uganda will host in September, the 22nd to the 29th. Amanzuru Leslie William is watching us from West Nile and wants to know from you whether the meeting will also discuss climate actions and environmental protection. He's particularly concerned, if so, what is your opinion on the current massive environmental abuse in Adjumani with impunity that is being funded by mafias and our own leadership in the country? Is this a concern? Because you're holding this CPC at a time when climate change is a major subject of concern across the world, both in the developing and the developed West. People are quite concerned about the environment. So is this one of the issues you intend to discuss?
Yes, certainly the issues of climate change are we shall have a workshop on the climate change. And really, I thank Leslie for that issue, because personally, I'm not satisfied that we are doing enough about the environmental degradation. We're not even doing enough about forestation. But I'm sure that in this meeting, we shall get some good examples of what other countries have done. Things can happen.
You have island members of the Commonwealth that are facing a constant risk, a constant fear that actually because of climate change they might drown out, especially from the Caribbean, isn't it? Yes.
And you know, this is now not about the Commonwealth. Sometime back when we were having elections at the IPU, one of the candidates said, he told me that, you know, because I was the chair of the African group, said, you know, I want support from your group, because next time you'll hear that the island of Maldives has disappeared, you know, and said our island is being swallowed. Then the other day with the Lord Fakafano of Tonga, I think he said the National Assembly has been swallowed up by water.
The National Assembly?
Yes, in Tonga. That's what he told me when we last met. So yes, it is real. And we are going to have a meeting also of the small branches, because those small islands also we
have their own.
They have their own cluster where they discuss issues affecting them. So this really should be one. It's real. It's real.
What are the other issues that stand out?
Youth unemployment and SDGs, and of course we still have the issues of representation of women and other communities in the national assemblies. Those are still issues. So, and then governance. It's one of those that is a recurring theme throughout our meetings. How are things being managed? How are we improving? How is service delivery? All those issues we are going to discuss.
On the question of youth and unemployment, Uganda, you have you preside over a parliament in a country where unemployment is so high, where the burgeoning, the number of young people, rather than tap it as a dividend, and the drive towards SDGs 2030, do you think Uganda presents a good example on dealing with some of these issues?
I think we present an example of a challenge, and during this meeting we should be able to discuss how do we handle it. You know, interestingly, a few weeks ago I'd gone to meet the diaspora in Canada. Then we were told that actually in Canada the reverse is true. They have very few young people.
Yes.
The bulk of the particular ages. And soon they are going to need people to import people to work, because people have grown old and they're not having enough children. So all these diversities are things where we can compare notes about. And
you'd say the same about Japan is having a similar crisis.
Yes.
A lot of continental Europe is having a similar crisis. I was reading a report yesterday. I don't remember which state in the United States. Is it the United? No, in the United Kingdom, they're having a problem because I think they're having less than 10 children by 1,000 women. Women are delaying delivery, and because they're delaying, sometimes they fail to have children, so they're worried that the gap is wide.
No, it is a real worry.
Yes,
it is a real worry. And like I said, in Canada, they actually encourage immigration if you are skilled. And when I was reporting to the House after I came back, I told the Prime Minister that I think you better take up this matter, because we have a lot of young people here who are well educated, who are still on the streets. Let's use this education and their numbers to place them
You talked about something that I found quite intriguing. Connectivity and movement, ease of movement, even between the Commonwealth itself, remains a big challenge. And right now, the United Kingdom has just gone through a transition. Boris Johnson is the new Prime Minister.
Yes.
He believes, or he says, whether it is a hard Brexit or soft Brexit, it no longer matters. And at the center of that is immigration within the Commonwealth. How is the CPC going to deal with that challenge?
You see, I think that as members of the CPC, we should work towards improving access, especially for members of the Commonwealth. You know, to say I'm a member of the Commonwealth, but I have to first go and kneel down before you can give me a visa and so on, doesn't make sense. So we want to use this opportunity to speak to our colleagues because they'll be here. They are coming. The British, the Canadians, even the Australians. We want to speak to them on that issue so that they can also influence policy in their country and also go and speak about it.
Australia is detaining people on islands before they don't want them to cross their border. And some of these are from Pakistan, members of the Commonwealth.
Yes, yes.
They don't want them to reach anywhere near their border. It's becoming a lot more complicated. But even when you bring it down to Africa, movement between African countries is difficult. People still ask, why does a Ugandan need a visa to go to South Africa, for example?
Yes, yes.
Line up for days,
you go there
denied.
at 5. You go there at 5.
Yes.
Can you imagine an African being told to wake up at 4 to go to the South African High Commission for a Commonwealth country? It's annoying. It's annoying.
So these are some of the frank discussions I'm asking.
Yes,
I was asking you
you can
about.
be sure.
If this is the venue and the place where you put these questions to these members and say, does it make sense? Why should it be that way? Why should movement be so difficult if you members who belong to the same family?
No, I can assure you that we are going to speak hard and speak truthfully about what is happening. We've done it in other fora, but now we are on home ground and we are really going to press the point home.
Okay. I wanted to ask our viewers, if you're watching us, please, we'll be displaying the number on the screen shortly. You can call us and put questions to the speaker. I request that you restrict your questions largely to the CPC that will be hosted by the Ugandan Parliament from the 22nd of September to the 29th of September. This is one of the engagements that we'll be having, and focus on the CPC. We here as NTV and within the National Media Group will be paying a lot of attention to the CPC because we think it's an important conference that is coming to the country. We think it's an important opportunity that Uganda should tap into, and we'll need to keep engaging with it. But also you have one opportunity to have so many newsmakers gathering, descending on Kampala, and I hope we'll have access to them to interview them and ask them questions when they're here. So if production could help me and put the number on, and yes, the number is on the screen. Call us, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and restrict your questions to the CPC. Put the questions or make comments to the speaker. Leslie, your question has been answered. The speaker says it is a concern even to her and to the world about climate change and environmental protection, and those questions will continue to come up, and we'll be asking the questions and trying to get answers for those questions. I have a call online. Hello? 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 I think we lost that caller. You can try and call us again. We'll pick up and you get answer from the speaker. Hello? Hello? Please move away from your TV set. You're giving us an echo in studio.
Hello?
Yes. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. When you're calling us, kindly turn off the TV or turn off the volume on the TV set so that we don't give us an echo. Hello? 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 Yes, we can hear you, but speak to us. I think you're still speaking. Yes, sir? Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Chris, and I am calling from Kampala.
Yes, Chris. Keep your question or comment brief. Chris, go ahead.
Hello?
Chris, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes.
My question is, the issue of food systems, is this going to be a topic that they can discuss? Because food systems across the country are becoming very difficult.
Food systems, you said? Chris, please help us understand your question.
The issue of quality, food sovereignty, food safety.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have another caller? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm called Jose.
Yes, Jose.
This is NTV.
Yes, you can put your question or comment to the speaker. I think Jose wasn't ready. Jose, you can...
I'm ready, sir. I'm ready.
Yes?
Now, I'm asking, what I want to put across the speaker's table is...
Yes, Jose? Jose, you're listening to yourself, please turn down the volume on your TV set.
I mean that in terms of employment of African children, African youth which are here redundant.
Okay.
I think the Prime Minister can take it up from there other than leaving it to these other people to take it up, the brokers of employment. But if the Prime Minister can streamline that kind of arrangement to have our people to go to like Canada and Australia, where we belong, we have some belonging of Commonwealth, I think it can do better for our youth.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jose. Let's bring it back to studio for the moment so that... Hello, we have a caller? Hello? Hello? I think that call is lost somewhere along the way. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think we lost that one as well. Madam Speaker, let's come back. Let's come back here. Someone has a concern about food sovereignty and food safety, if it's one of the issues you intend to have a discussion about. And Jose has a question about employment, which is actually interesting because the issue we're just discussing before we opened up for the calls. You have people dying on the Mediterranean.
I know.
And it's been running for years. You have people being auctioned, modern day auctioning of human beings in Libya because they're struggling to cross from Africa to Europe. You have all these stories about Ugandans and the experiences in the Middle East. I was looking through a report recently of trafficking of especially young women to India, to these far East countries. And some of these are from the Commonwealth, some of these are from Commonwealth to Commonwealth countries. Some of these are because of unequal distribution of opportunities, the benefits from this Commonwealth we're talking about, that haven't been realized. Yes, where is the space to discuss some of these issues at the CPC and other similar engagements that you have?
Okay, I'll start with the Chris and the issue of food safety and food security. I believe that we can handle that within the context of the debate on the SDGs, because among the 17 SDGs, they touch on these areas of food and so on. Then, Jose, I really want to thank you because that's a matter that really bothers me. And in the middle of July, I went to for an official visit to Egypt. And one of the things we discussed with the President al-Sisi was the determination of the Egyptian government to continue supporting the rest of Africa travel, infrastructure, industries, and so on. Because said he was also concerned that the Mediterranean is a graveyard of the African people.
Yes.
People have died there. But because we don't have sufficient opportunities here, and we have been discussing this in the meetings, especially like in the IPU, we have been telling these people that you bring more money, bring more resources to Africa. The Africans don't want to come to your country, but they come because they think it's the only opportunity. Help us create opportunities in our continent. Our people will stay here and make their money. But this one, I am, as I said, I told the Prime Minister that in Canada, they actually welcome skilled people. They need them very, very badly. So it's up to us to take up the opportunity because we have the skills here. Our young people really are skilled. And what they don't want is this chair business. But the skilled, they welcome with both hands. And I met people there who told me that no, we had no difficulties coming here because we
have our skills.
We have our skills, so we are
But
in
what
demand.
does that mean? Because if we lose those skilled people, we need them here.
No, but
we want to keep our most skilled people here.
No, what about those who are on the streets? I think we could do it for a particular time and say that, okay, maybe for 5 years we assist you to go out, but then you come back, and then with the experience I've gained there, you improve facilities here and improve the capacity. So for me, we want them, but what if they have a choice between doing nothing and doing something? I think I'd rather send these children out, they do some work, and then come back, because they even come back with more capacity.
Okay.
Yes.
Our time is running pretty short. I'd like to give you an opportunity to say a few last words about and mobilize the country, really get the country to rally behind you, and give them a reason to rally behind you as you host this CPC.
Okay, I want to first thank you for the opportunity to speak to the people of Uganda, and to say that what first of all, Ugandans really are very welcoming. So I want you to show us the same traditional hospitality that you give to the other guests. Welcome them wherever they are coming. I want to appeal to the people in the hotels to give them the best treatment, so that they think about Uganda and come back. I want to appeal to the exhibitors to bring out their best, and so that we can get some money. And by the way, we have very talented Ugandans. The other day I had an exhibition at AGOA at Parliament. I was amazed by what Ugandans can do. So there's so much, because if we give that exposure, we can actually get markets. These people can get markets for us. They can create markets for us in their countries. So it's a big opportunity, and I want to ask the press to give us a good coverage and to work with us from the time their guests arrive up to the time they go, and of course afterwards.
Okay, let me just put in one more question about these opportunities you're talking about. If I want to be an exhibitor, what is the pathway for me to become an exhibitor? You talked about hotels. Have you already pre-qualified hotels?
Yes,
that
we
you're
have.
Working with? What is the opportunity for others who are not pre-qualified?
No, you see, we have an organizing committee, and we have different committees. So the accommodation committee went around different places and identified the hotels that have the basic services, which one would expect in a hotel. So 20 hotels were identified, and the delegates are booking in from their country directly to the hotels. So we also made sure that they are convenient for transport. That will be easy to take people to main venue and to the other venues. So it's also an issue of proximity, but we are trying to give opportunity to as many hotels as possible. The exhibitors, we have an organizing committee. Let them write to me, and then I will pass it on to the committee concerned, so that they can allocate them space. Okay. Yes, but certainly there will be an exhibition here at Serena, another one at Munyonyo.
Okay.
Also, the people at the equator, as I've told you, the Kampala tour, and want to thank the Kampala Capital City Authority. They are going to host the delegates for lunch, and also talk to them about this city. So there's a lot that's going on. So all the places which have been identified in Kampala, I want to ask our citizens to give their best as usual.
And of course, you said you are in your invitations to the guests, you're telling them plan to come 2 days earlier, or extend your stay by an extra 2 days, and then you talked about spouses, children, and other people who might accompany them to tap opportunities and even go beyond these other areas that you already identified for them to come and visit.
The spouses really have a good time, because they will not be part of the conference. So they have 10 days in which to just visit different places in this country and spend money. Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for making time for NTV and for this particular special programming.
Okay.
We'll of course be coming back to you regularly as we move towards the actual conference in September to ask questions as and when they emerge. Also to make sure that we are working with you, as you have said, on the journey towards hosting the CPC, the 64th
Yes.
CPC. It's amazing. 52 years. I was talking to one of your delegation who came earlier.
Yeah.
He said, no, the last time we hosted this CPC, I think maybe I wasn't at Parliament. I said, no, you weren't born yet.
But that's true. Many Ugandans were not born.
Yes.
This was soon after independence.
Soon after independence.
Yes, 5 years after independence.
No, thank you very much for making time for the show. And thank you very
Okay.
much to all our viewers for joining us tonight and always. Please continue engaging the discussion on the CPC, the 64th CPC. I think information is available on the Parliament website. We'll be covering it on our platforms as Nation Media Group. So if you're on NTV or Daily Monitor or the East African or KFM, you will hear about this because we'll continue to discuss it and we'll continue to engage with it until after the guests have come and gone back. We'll ask the hard questions about its management when they arrive, when they arise rather. We'll ask the nice questions about when the guests arrive here. We'll be engaging in all that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
me,
opportunity.
It is a good night to you, our viewers.